on the dirt and on the pavement. It's fought out at high speeds, it's technical and demanding. It combines leading-edge bikes, smart mechanics, and world-class racers. This sport is called Supermoto.
But when he broke his back, it was huge. He really got to the top of his game, and now everything was in jeopardy.
I don't remember anything past 90. I hit my head so many times, I don't remember my childhood.
Your Doug Henry, your Jeff Ward. Everybody knows those guys. It's a lot of fun.
Where winners and sinners collide. Las Vegas, Nevada, Sodom on the sand. This is where Supermoto's championship is decided.
I can't think of a better place to hold the finals here in America than Vegas. This sport and this town, I think, they go hand in hand. There's a lot of similarities.
Vegas, man. I mean, what a way to end it. You know what I mean? It's you know, the whole lights and glam of Vegas comes to the race.
This is the starting line of the 2004 AMA Supermoto Championship race in Las Vegas. This race determines not just the champion team and individual champion for the season, the winner of this race also earns the bragging rights of winning the toughest race of the year. With everything on the line, this is the one race to win and the place to do it. Who will be the champion for 2004? Many miles passed underneath the wheels before we got to the finals in Vegas, and it all got started 6 months earlier. Besides the factory giants of Honda, KTM, Suzuki, and Yamaha, who would be crazy enough to start his own Supermoto team? In early 2004, a helmet painter in California named Troy Lee decided to give it a try. You're probably asking yourself, who is this Troy Lee?
I mean, there's only one word would be crazy, but but I mean, he's got other sides to him for sure. But I'd say caring, very smart, and very dedicated.
Sick, drunk designer.
Troy, oh man. God, he's a visionary, he's passionate, and he's got a heart. And you know what? He's stubborn too.
I think it's excellence, creativity, and fun. And I think he mixed all those three together, and that's a winning combination.
Extremely talented, passionate, very passionate, and so much fun.
Hard worker, businessman, and a good friend.
I guess the first one that comes to mind is wild, good time, and very eccentric.
I'd have to go innovative, creative, and definitely fast this year.
Nice, funny, and goofy.
Off the hook.
He's a good drinking partner.
Good motorcycle guy. I don't know. Normal, competitive, and eccentric.
Across the front here it says, "Long live Steve McQueen."
He may be eccentric, but he's brought energy to this sport since its inception.
Incorporated into the Day in the Dirt helmets. Of course, our logo, some gun smoke.
Troy Lee started as a helmet painter 25 years ago and has since grown his business into one of the leading designers of just about anything to do with racing.
And then also an old cowboy gun that we drew up here with the smoke coming up.
Troy Lee to step into this thing and form a team. I mean, he's always been the helmet painter, you know what I mean? Troy's always had the best helmets out there, and when I was a kid, I always wanted one, but I never could afford it, so, you know what I mean?
From humble beginnings, Troy Lee Designs is now recognized internationally as the premier designer of all things racing. He's branched out to include just about every facet of the entertainment business.
It's just cool to have all these guys a part of this thing and help this sport grow, because with those guys' names and the respect in the sport, it's just going to help this thing get bigger.
It's a great thing. So Troy Lee is in the Supermoto because he's got a big name. Everybody know him in Europe and everywhere. So if this guy made a team in Supermoto, for sure you have big name on this.
As a racer himself, Troy truly loves this sport, which he sees as a sport on the cusp of immense growth and popularity.
Supermoto has a huge future. You know, I think it's a future. You can race these bikes anywhere, so I think the future is very big for it. I really believe in it, so that's why we're decided to do a team.
Always an innovator and something of a visionary, when it comes to this sport, Troy developed a full line of gear specifically designed for the needs of Supermoto. He then looked for the best riders to wear it. He looked to these three men. The future of the sport, 17-year-old Chris Fillmore.
Saw last year the best team would be these guys, Troy Lee Designs, and so I called Troy up one day. I could talk to him for a little bit and asked him what he had planned. And, he said we'd love to have you on the team. And it's someplace I really wanted to be. So I got a call back a couple weeks later, and they asked me to come out to a race in California, see how I would do on the bikes. I instantly felt good on the Hondas. Signed with them after that.
Chris would be the coolest rider to watch. I mean, he hangs it out further than anyone. He scrapes everything. He's just sideways everywhere. I mean, he slides the front, then he slides the back. Maybe that's why he falls off every now and then, but...
He's going to be definitely one of the kids that make this thing in a couple years. He'll be the guy that everyone's chasing.
Troy also recruited two racing legends, 7-time AMA champion Jeff Ward, a child prodigy racer who has become an icon of motocross, supercross, IndyCar, and supermoto racing. And Doug Henry, a 4-time AMA supercross and motocross champion who came back from catastrophic injury to not only race again, but to win. With Ward, Henry, and Fillmore on board, it looked like Troy Lee had built the dream team of supermoto racing, and their goal, to win the national championship.
Those guys aren't out here to do anything other than to win each and every race, and that's the attitude you have to have towards being a champion.
All three of them, pretty much just haul ass. They all have the potential to finish first, second, and third at every race.
But in truth, the team was only halfway built. With little time to prepare for the season and even less sleep, Troy's 3 riders needed 3 mechanics. Troy brought on Damo to build Doug Henry's bike. Craig Kobach was brought on to build Chris Fillmore's bike. And Matt Jory was hired to build Jeff Ward's bike. And then, because the traveling race team needs a bus driver, Bruce, Australian deep-sea diver and man of the world.
Troy called me up, and my rider just got hurt in outdoors. We were done for the season, and he's like, hey, what are you doing? I need a mechanic for Supermoto. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like, who's it for? He's all Doug Henry. I'm like, oh, cool. That guy's badass back in the day. He's won a lot of championships. Like, that sounds kind of cool.
Rode pretty much my whole life, from Pee-wees to, then I got injured, and now I'm a mechanic. I just have the love for it.
I don't want to be doing anything else.
I mean, basically anyone in the room or around me should be wearing a mask.
I guess I'm living a kind of a dream at the moment. I mean, it's cool. But no, there's nothing else I want to be doing right now. I just want to be doing this. I just want to win this championship, to be honest. That's what I want to do. So, I want that #1 plate.
That day's over.
Hey, Jeff. Yeah. Sorry, man. Do you remember Dan Waller traveled with you in '79 for the national?
I don't remember anything past 90.
Neither do I. It's
So-
all those drugs, man.
I hit my head so many times, I don't remember my childhood.
Well, he's outside. He
I'm
wanted
lucky
to
I
say
remember my mom.
He wanted to say hello.
Yeah.
If you got time.
With their machines ready and all the testing done, the riders collected their gear and headed to Los Angeles for Supermoto's debut at the LA Summer X Games. The preseason race at the X Games was where they would introduce themselves to the racing world, competing in front of 36,000 fans and on national TV against the world's premier racers. Steve Hagenveld, Gary Tracy, Ben Carlson, Travis Pastrana, Chris Fillmore, Steve Drew, Mickey Diamond, Jürgen Kunzel, Mike Metzger, Grant Langston, Thierry Vandenbosch, Kevin Windham, Chad Reed, Doug Henry, Jeremy McGrath, Ben Bostrom, Jeff Ward, and Eddie Seal. On the start grid but not pictured, Kenny Bartram. 19 of the world's best riders line up to battle it out to claim the title as X Games champ. Going into turn one, Doug Henry brakes too hard, losing the front end, causing a crash that takes out KTM rider Vandenbosch and pushing teammate Chris Fillmore into last place. Jeff Ward avoids the crash by going out wide, but leaving him mid-pack to start the race. Not a single name from the Troy Lee Designs team makes it onto the board of the top 6. It was a spectacular disappointment and a very public humiliation for the team.
Doug was last, but then was coming back up. He was running about 8th or something, and then first he lost his clutch. The bolt to the slave cylinder came loose, and then so he had no clutch. So he said it was kind of hard backing the thing in, couldn't modulate it. Lucky he had a slipper in it.
That's where I got my fastest lap, was second from the end, so I did a lot of sprints. Yeah. I don't know. How many laps I did.
Are you triple on that thing, Wardy?
I did 24 laps.
It was good through there. Real nice.
Jeff got pushed out by Langston, and then fucking bikes won't start. So the bikes don't start very easy.
Yeah.
And then so he had to bump start it, so he was last.
And then Chris got last night, right?
Chris got last, so a bunch of guys crashed.
No, I reckon this is like really close.
Is your heart more broken? I think it's your heart. I mean, the whole weekend kind of sucked for you.
How's your hand hurt too?
I think I think it's his heart that's broken. I think he just felt he was on the wrong page and it's just messed him up mentally. But you'll be right back the next race. Our season hasn't even started. We looked at this like it was huge, and it's just next year we got to come back and do well, and then start with AMA.
Yeah, Colorado. 2 weeks.
Colorado, you know what I mean? It'll be fine. I think you just didn't like this track.
No, I liked it when I got to race.
What do you do? That's racing.
After a disappointing X Games, the team goes back to the drawing board. The riders hit the test track and the mechanics hit the shop, with only 2 weeks of testing and development before the next event in Colorado.
As soon as we get the bikes back here, I mean, we basically, clean them and then strip them down, and start cleaning and inspecting pretty much every part that there is on the bike. The reason you want to do that is because, there's no room to have something break when you're out on the track. So, it's all about, minimising risks and, making sure that the bike's perfect. So, I guess we pull the bikes apart and then go through the motor, go through the chassis, and then rebuild them and put new stickers on, make them look pretty, and then take them back out.
The Troy Lee Designs team uses the development and research facilities at Pro Circuit to dyno test their engines and exhaust components for maximum performance.
You got to bring them to the dyno and you verify, or we verify what it really did on paper versus what they said, and then if the guy's a good test rider, you can sort of see a pattern. And you can do the same on the engine, you make sure that, is the power good enough? Is it, did we lose a lot of bottom to gain maybe some top end? Because then all of a sudden when we gear them up, they're going to not be as aggressive, and it's just anymore. I don't think you can develop a good engine for anything unless you have a dyno.
At the highest level of motorcycle racing, a racer is only as good as his bike, which is only as good as its mechanic, and a very complex relationship with the racer.
There needs to be a good relationship between a mechanic and a rider. I mean, for one, because the rider has to be able to trust the mechanic. I mean, if the rider has no trust in what the guy's doing to his bike, then, I mean, he's going to be out there thinking, is this thing going to break when I'm sliding into a corner, or is, is the brake's going to work, is the wheel going to fall off? I mean, maybe that's a bit extreme, but I mean, I think once the rider's got that trust in a mechanic, then they can go out there and just do their job. So I mean, I think our relationship is good that way. I mean, we work well together, and he's a good guy, and I'm a damn good guy, so.
It'd be like a jockey and a horse, almost in a way, like, the motorcycle and the mechanic are the horse, and the rider is the jockey, and you all got to work together. I got to trust him, with my life. We're trying to make things as fast as we can, but there's a safety issue too. He knows, hey, if something's not right, he's not going to use it.
Craig's my mechanic, and definitely has to know everything has to be, just right out there. I don't trust him. I can't ride the bike to its potential. I can't ride to my potential. It's definitely a mental thing, and without him having to. Without trusting him, then I couldn't be going as fast as I'm trying to go.
You see Wardy's bed? The whole thing's round off on the left.
They smashed off. It's more than just building a bike for a rider. You gotta be able to communicate with the rider, and you gotta be able to read the rider when he's on the track in the middle of a race, when to tell him to breathe, know when to tell him to push, be able to help him make an adjustment, and being able to communicate. It's the hard part right there, I think.
After regrouping, the team takes off on their first road trip of the season. Heading into the first official AMA Red Bull Series round of the season at Copper Mountain, the team was looking for a fresh start, a new and better beginning than their disastrous debut at the X Games. But the condition just hours before the race did not bode well.
One's gone when racing comes. It's be slicks, ice on slicks.
What's that?
I'm off of supplying chains for the race.
Chains?
Yeah.
Though it was midsummer, Copper Mountain was freezing the morning of the race. The race had to be delayed several hours, fraying nerves. With ice covering the bikes, everyone did what they could do to keep themselves warm.
It's pretty dang cold out here.
In Colorado, if you don't like the weather, just wait a while. And by race time, the conditions were ideal. Round number 1.
Supermoto final. It was Jeff Wood with the Super Bowl. Is that the best spot on the starting line? No! Teammate Doug Henry ripped the whole shot. Second and third go to Wood and KTM Red Bull's Jürgen Kunzel. Veteran Supermoto racer Kunzel hanging it out, trying not to let the Joy League teammates in front of him get away. Kunzel bobbles, has to regain his composure. Henry out front, hauling, starts to lose his front brake. He goes for the crossover adjustment while blazing the back straight. Sick! With a few laps to go, number 19, Henry says, hey, what's that gear between first and second? Neutral! Henry saves the almost ender with his first AMA win on a Honda since 1995. Supermoto hot, stick tires, pitch sideways, all the kids are doing it!
Doug Henry, former three-time motocross champion. Doug, congratulations on picking up the victory here at the first Supermoto race of the AMA Series.
Thank you very much. I'm just so happy. My X Games experience didn't go too good, and I was just trying to kind of get on the podium was my goal.
Doug Henry's win earns him 25 points in the overall standing. His win a surprise to all, even his own mechanic.
We won our first race, and I'm like, holy crap, well, this guy's fast.
Jeff Ward places second with 23 points. A great finish for the Troy Lee team, but not a place Wardy likes to be.
I went out too wide, though. It was my fault.
Jürgen Kunzel of Germany sits third with 20 points.
Yeah, my son. My son is
right.
so
old?
funny. He's only 5. And I was like, Dad, he won. And he goes, really? What place did he get? And I said, first. And he goes, does that mean he got a trophy? And he's so excited to see the trophy now. And it's a really cool looking trophy too.
As always with race wins comes media exposure.
Are you proud of Matt?
Always, yeah.
How do you like America?
It's fun.
Not as easy as it looks.
Study.
Can we get more than like 5 words out of you, out an answer?
No.
Okay.
I think Jeff Ward and Doug Henry will definitely be battling. We can never count out Chris Fillmore, our young rider. I'm sure he's going to be putting the pressure on the older boys for sure.
Because as you talk, you hear your voice coming back at you, so you're like, what the fuck am I saying? So then you've kind of got to stop listening to how you normally talk. Like normally you hear yourself talk as you're speaking, but then all of a sudden you hear it coming back after you've said it. So then it's like, so at first I was like, fuck, hang on a second, I can't talk because I keep hearing what I'm saying.
But even at 17, Chris Fillmore handles the media well.
What's it like riding with on the team, TLD team, premier team in Supermoto? How's that make you feel?
It's pretty cool riding with these guys, you know. Coming just from local motocross, it's pretty sweet, you know. Troy Lee, Doug Henry, Jeff Ward. Everybody knows those guys, and it's a lot of fun.
Critical to racing well is recovery. All part of the job. Round 2.
Alexander Tebow with a tremendous start. The white leathers on the Honda CRF 450 with the early lead and brakes nicely.
Tebow from the outside, as a matter of fact. Superpole is on the inside. He got the whole shot from the outside.
Progressive rider, cam rider Matt Burton on the inside. He's in traffic trying to work his way through the field.
Very tricky section right there. There's the outside peg. Remember, these are slick tires, and that loose pebble, he could go so easily.
The first urban cross jump, and Doug Henry has a good run on Alexander Tebow's, crossing it up a little bit. Tebow goes the outside, but that leaves the inside open. Doug Henry takes the lead and makes it look so easy.
Whoa, Jeff Ward getting a little squirrely there, choosing to chop the throttle rather than to go down and get back into third place. Is that Steve Drew?
Steve Drew takes over, but Alexander Tebow, the freshman in between, looking very impressive. You're looking at Matt Burton, the progressive rider cam here on lap number 7. Yamaha makes that dirt to street transition, very slippery.
Very slippery right there. That's a great shot, but it's Alexander Tebow that's trying to get back in front of the number 19 of Doug Henry. Tebow hole-shotted, but Henry made the move around it.
Henry looking down at that shifter, grabbing gears.
Doug Henry started out his career in Supermoto on the Yamaha, made the switch over to the Honda team. Look at Ward trying that same move that Henry put on Tebow for the inside pass on the backside of the urban cross jump.
Wouldn't you think that Tebow would have gotten the idea by now? Don't give up that inside. Now Kunzel, look how close Kunzel is. 40. Looks like he's diving to the inside this time. Jerry, no, to the outside again.
Oh, we got to race, people. Look at Kunzel trying to make a move on the both of them.
He's trying to set him up, and it almost cost him position. Ward in third, almost lost that spot to Jürgen Kunzel. There goes Doug Henry. It looks like problems with Henry. He slows down. He looked a little slow down that straightaway. He's downshifting, not giving up.
Oh, Henry pulling off the track. Obviously bike problems, but the 19 of Doug Henry.
Tebow held him off for so long in Las Vegas, the final stop of last year's tour. And now he has Ward underneath him, the same spot that Doug Henry got by. Ward with a really good drive. You're not going to outbreak Jeff Ward going up to that jump. I'm here to tell you, Ward takes over the lead.
But remember, Jeff Ward not only is a motocross champion, but also did IndyCar racing, IRL racing, so he knows asphalt and he knows late braking.
He also knows he only has one more turn and a little shimmy down the front straightaway, and he's going to take his first victory of 2004. The win goes to Jeff Ward on the Troy Lee Designs Honda.
In the second day of racing, Ward does place first, finally securing that place back on top he'd been so accustomed to. He was feeling good.
Yeah, it feels good. I don't know if I was the fastest. Doug was looking pretty good too. Yeah, I just got back there in third and got
got second place, and then Doug got by the leader, and I was just kind of stuck there for a little bit. And I didn't even know Doug went out, so I thought I was in second the whole time until I went up the straightaway, and people were kind of cheering a little loud for a second place guy. So.
But meanwhile, his teammate Doug Henry doesn't finish the race due to a mechanical error.
Bike was bitching all day long, and then we're going down the line, and we have a clutch problem, and I'm like, oh great, dude, what could it be now? What happened was I made a mistake putting the clutch back together in between qualifiers, and it cost us a DNF. So right there, Doug, I think, lost a little bit of trust for me, which really sucked because I was desperately trying really hard to get it for him because I just started working with the guy. I saw him lean his bike up against, leaned up against something, and he walked away and he threw his goggles off and he looked really pissed, and felt really bad. I was like I was like, God damn, dude, I failed. What did I do? And I thought for sure the guy was just gonna be pissed off at me. And I walked back in there. I was scared to go in there and talk to him because it was my fault. I just cost the guy a win, and he was leading that, and he was walking away from everybody. We had that wrapped up. I was like, this guy's gonna be pissed off at me. I just cost him a win, cost us a win. But I was more worried about him because it's my fault. And I walked in there and I was like, dude, I'm sorry. He's like, hey man, it's okay. And he gave me a hug, and I was like, dude, that's so cool. I did someone to accept it. I was like, dude, I'm sorry, I messed up. And, he's like, it's all right, dude. I'm all about the comeback. He's all, we got some races to win. He's all, but I'm all about the comeback. We're gonna win.
The team heads back out on the road to Nashville, Tennessee for round number 3. When the team arrives a day early, just about anything can happen.
I just got back from the dance. I just had them cleaned. I had them straightened out. The braces just came off, and they look pretty now. You should have seen me before. They're really f***ed up. Yeah, he just told me about that. I told him some Snickers bars, little caramel and peanut. They used to be all f***ed up. I cased a triple, come up just a hair short. Pow! Pop, they were all jacked up. I didn't have a bar pad on there.
Round 3.
Round 3, Music City Motorplex, Nashville, Tennessee.
And as you can see, the scenery is absolutely gorgeous. Jeff Ward leads the season with 48 points. Meanwhile, teammates Doug and Chris are tied for 7th place with 25 points each.
Waiting for the green light. It pops up, and Pastrana, a little bit of a bog on the starting line, but no bog for the Honda teammates, Wardy and Henry, with Doug Henry coming out in front.
3 guys from Troy Lee Designs up front, all on CRF 450 Hondas, 19, 3, and of course, right there, the number 11 of Chris Fillmore, the young rider, who needs to put together some good laps. He admitted earlier in the year that he gets a little bit tired. I said, hey, you're 17 years old. Your team with Jeff Ward, Doug Henry, get on the gas. So let's look for a good finish with Fillmore.
Henry, Ward, Fillmore, your top 3 as we look at the progressive shot. In 4th spot, Leonardo Bagnes, Josh Chisholm rounding out the top 5. And just behind is Travis Pastrana.
But it's Doug Henry, the number 19 in the lead, followed closely by the number 3X of Jeff Ward, his teammate. Look at Ward going for the outside move, rocketing into the berm.
Banging off of that berm and really nowhere to go. When you make that double left right there, he had no position on Doug Henry. But he's kind of saying, hey, I'm here. Don't mess up. I'm here.
But Doug Henry is where he wants to be out leading this race. Remember, he DNF'd with some clutch issues in the last race. You got to put that all behind you and just know, open track, all asphalt, wide open down the straightaway. Don't think what's behind you.
Though teammate Doug Henry leads for much of the race, unfortunately in lap traffic he runs into trouble again. Coming over a jump, Doug thinks he's in first gear, but he's in second, and coming back on the gas in a gear too tall, the bike stalls.
This Doug Henry over that little urban cross section. It looks like a repeat of our last stop at Copper Mountain where he had mechanical failure, but this one he's trying to fire it up. This thing still has life in it.
He's able to get the machine started again and get back into the race, but way behind in 16th place.
Speaking of losing traction, one rider going way wide as Chris Fillmore ducks underneath him.
Either that or he's just letting the freight train pass him on the inside. Look at Wardy down the dirt right there. He wheelied over those kickers, let the rear shock, the suspension soak up those 2 bumps.
Wardy's so good in the dirt. I mean, you expect him to be. I mean, he's used to the dirt, but he's extremely fast on the asphalt. That car experience is invaluable. I mean, he is diving into these turns so much faster than it seems everyone else, maybe other than Jürgen Kunzel. And we see him one more time, Terry. Look at that.
I'm just going to pop a wheelie around the corner. You mind?
About 60, 70 miles an hour, arms up in the air, and he takes the win the second time. In 2004, Jeff Ward, followed by Chris Fillmore, Jürgen Kunzel, the top three, but it's all Jeff Ward.
Chris Fillmore makes his first podium appearance of the season, finishing second behind winner Jeff Ward.
Way to go, boys! Woo! Way to go, Wardy! Way to go, Wardy!
Yeah, another tough one. I mean, Doug got a good start. He got me on the pole, and he was out there, so I caught up, and I was kind of conserving a little bit. Made a few mistakes, and then I guess he stalled it.
We were leading, and then had the bike stall, and we went all the way to 16th, and the guy charged all the way back up to 6th, which was awesome.
For Jeff Ward, this confirms, and there can be no doubt, he's back. You might say Jeff Ward has an obsession with winning. He'll admit it himself. And with that obsession and his incredible technical skill, Ward, or Wardy as many of his fans call him, has earned a racing record that already makes him a living legend.
When I am young, I check all the magazines of the US, and I know very well Henry, McGrath, Ward, and riding with them, it's like a dream for me.
When I was a kid, you know, I mean, 7 years old, going to the Supercrosses, and Jeff Ward and all those guys being the top guys, you know, he was the Team Green guy, you know, always with Team Green, and stayed with one team, and was, you know, him and Ricky Johnson were kind of my idols, you know, those are the guys that you wanted to be like.
A child prodigy of sorts, Jeff Ward, who began racing at 4 years old, learned at a young age that he liked going fast and he liked winning races.
I was born in Scotland, and my parents and my sister moved over here when I was 2 to Southern California, Mission Viejo, and my dad raced motorcycles in Europe and played for professional soccer and professional hockey over there, so he was quite an athlete. And he, you know, came over here, started riding, and when I was about 4, I got a motorcycle and would go with him, and he did trials, it was called. It wasn't really racing, it was more of a thing where you ride through sections and more balance, and it wasn't real big in Southern California, but there was a group that was doing it, and so I went with him and started just kind of riding around and playing around, and at about age 6 they started having sections for kids, and I started doing that, and I had more fun going fast between the sections than going slow and trying to do balance. So back then it was like 1966, so there was really no mini bike racing here in Southern California, and motorcycling wasn't real huge as it was in Europe. So my dad started kind of a mini bike, Southern California Kart Association and Mini Bike Association. We started racing at Saddleback Park around trash cans, and kind of took off from there. Just started racing mini bikes and went through the mini bike ranks and won a lot of championships. And motorcycling in the United States was just starting to get popular with guys like Marty Smith and Bob Hanna. And 1972, I think the Supercross started in the LA Coliseum. So it just kind of started booming at that point where it never crossed my mind that you could make a living at it, or it wasn't really recognized as a sport, so it was just more fun weekend stuff.
This weekend stuff became his overriding passion. He actually raced in the very first Supermoto race, or Superbikers as it was called, way back in 1980.
Agility as well, and these men certainly have it. There was a test done on a Swedish university where it was found that motocross riders and soccer players were the most, and look at that wheelie there as we go around.
Jeff raced motorcycles throughout his childhood, and as a teenager became one of the first professional riders of motocross and supercross, helping to develop both sports and along the way, the profession. He quickly developed into one of the sport's preeminent champions. Jeff Ward won 7 AMA championships. He was the first to win the 125, 250, and 500cc championship, And since the 500 two-strokes are no longer raced, no one will ever top his record. A record his competitors always say Morty achieved because of his determination, professionalism, and dedication.
I always looked up to Jeff Ward. Matter of fact, there's an outdoor motocross track called Central right down the road from where I live, and I can remember days where Jeff was out there just putting in motos on his 500KX.
We, were close at a young age and just hung out together. He'd come to my house and we'd ride. I had areas to ride. We'd ride together, just hang out, and so it wasn't really like, we were competing. It was fun for us really to kind of compete, or, for me, it wasn't like, oh, I had to beat him or whatever. So it was a lot of fun.
Jeff is amazing. One of the first times I met Jeff Ward was out at a practice track at Lake Elsinore, California. I was probably 1991. It was 1991. And I was riding, and he happened to be out riding in the hills too. And him and Denny Stevenson had a track laid out, and maybe Matasevich was there, I think. And I just rode with him, and it was just amazing. You just see in his practice how hard he worked to get where he was. He rode really hard that day when I was out there, riding, and kind of gave me an eye-opener to what I would have to do if I ever wanted to be at his level.
Morty reached the pinnacle of motocross and supercross, then retired in the early 90s. But he was far from done with racing. He traded 2 wheels for 4 and quickly jumped into an Indy car. He beat all-time great Al Unser in the closest finish in IndyCar history. And during his career, he finished in the top 5 at the Indianapolis 500 3 times. At his age, especially after achieving so much, most people would have retired. In fact, most of his competitors from his motocross career had long ago given up the ghost. But again, Wardy's competitive drive would not let him hang it up. Luckily, at the same time, a new sport was growing in the United States. Maybe the only sport that still offered him a shot at a U.S. and then possibly a world championship. Supermoto, an intriguing combination of road racing, motocross, and dirt tracking that requires intense speed and vast technical ability. Exactly Ward's interests and strength. And with the new sport attracting new racers in the U.S., Wardy would start the sport with the advantage of decades more racing experience than many of his competitors. In fact, he'd been racing longer than his teammate Chris Fillmore had been alive.
I don't know how he's doing it. I'm 17, it takes a beating on me. But it's awesome that he can be out here, and he's pursued so many careers in motorsports, and it's crazy.
His years of experience could be a tremendous advantage.
Jeff really helps me out on come back and share what he's learned out on the track, and it really helps.
A lot of corners you're not right on that inside apex. You're sliding far out, and it's taking a while to get that turn. Yeah, that's my thing.
Now, in between training with and shuttling his kids to their motorcycle races, Ward focuses on his latest goal, the Supermoto Championship. But at age 43, decades of experience are also decades of exposure to the brutal physical demands of the sport and its injuries.
I always ride. No matter what, I always take off the starting line, because you just never know. When you're sitting there, everything hurts and different positions hurt, but sometimes even with motocross, I've broken wrists during the day and raced the main event. And even with ankles, I've raced with ankles broken for 3 races and then had surgery. During the week, you think you can't do it. Then you go there and get taped up and get a shot and you get on the bike and the adrenaline. You take off and you just do what you can do.
Jeff was just a hard charger, and never say die kind of guy, and I definitely realized that once I started racing Supermoto with him, you go out and race with him, and if you step it up and you're going a certain speed, and you might have something on him, he always finds a way to step it up and come back after you, and beat you.
When he's out there riding, that's his job, and he knows it. He's done it his whole life, and that's the thing. I guess he just puts pain aside. You just go out and get the job done, and that's what he seems to be able to do. And that's what I mean. You know, I said it before, the guy's just a trooper, man. The guy's a soldier. He just goes out there and does what he's got to do, you know.
But every athlete reaches a point where his body can't perform as it once did. Now 43, battling injuries, an aging body, and knowing he hasn't won a national championship in an astounding 14 years, can Wardy still be the champion he once was? Halfway through the season, going into round number 4 in Reno, Jeff is leading with 73 points, closely followed by KTM rider Jürgen Kunzel with 61. Chris Fillmore is in 5th place with 47 points, and Doug Henry is in a little bit of trouble with only 41 points, holding on to 6th. Round 4.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Reno, Nevada. I'm Robbie Floyd with wingnut Jerry Bernardo, and the big story, Jerry, has to be the course itself. We are in the middle of downtown, but we're on the streets of downtown.
But in Reno, like Copper, conditions dampen moods and frayed nerves. In Reno, the racetrack is a downtown street, but heavy rain makes the street too slick for racing. Despite attempts to help dry it, including lighting the street on fire with gasoline, all they could do was wait. Eventually, the race begins.
See Pastrana in the yellow, second from the back row, and they're off into this very treacherous first turn. Now that might be a little moist with paint stripes. Now we have the number 3X of Jeff Ward in the lead, followed closely by Doug Henry. Will Doug Henry try and make an early pass, or will he watch Ward's lines? You can never tell. Henry, I believe, is going to try and get out front and get smooth sailing and open ground.
Great shot from the Progressive action shot as they make their way over the urban cross section. How aggressive can you be when it's your teammate out there? The first time over the dirt, you know that's slippery.
And remember, let's reiterate that Jeff Ward is riding with a broken bone in his foot, so he's not really 100%.
But you're looking at Ward going a little bit wide there. There's where his teammate went down earlier, Chris Fillmore. Henry goes to the inside, popping wheelies. That usually is a sign that you're not getting the best drive, but he does and takes the lead. Wheelies aren't a good thing necessarily.
But late braking is, you saw right there. Henry went to the inside, got on the gas. It was a drag strip down that main straightaway for the tight left-hander. Kunzel has worked his way past Ward and is now in second.
Wardy was in a bad position. Now Kunzel in a great position. Look at the guys that are out here. Henry, Ward, Nickel. These are factory riders.
So I hung out with Kunzel a lot lately. He's really a nice guy. He's really funny. He has total respect for all of these riders, especially the guy he's chasing down with 1 lap to go, Doug Henry.
Connecticut versus Germany. One more straightaway and a left-hand turn to go. It's not going to happen for Kunzel. He knows it right now. But I guarantee you there's a smile underneath that helmet. Torrington, Connecticut, you can cheer as Doug Henry has taken another win in AMA Supermoto. Heck, Reno, Nevada can cheer. Look at this crowd. Thumbs up.
But it does not go well for Ward. He injures his knee and can only manage a 3rd-place finish.
Well, luckily it was a shortened race. I stalled it out there, so that kind of hurt me. Nicole almost got me. I was trying to just get points. But yeah, this morning I popped my knee out again and got a shot in there, so it was not too bad. I was just hoping it wasn't going to go till tomorrow because I can't get another one until probably next Thursday. So.
Are you feeling any pain right now?
No, not too bad. It was just I couldn't be as confident as I wanted to be, and that's what this game's about, is confidence. And I couldn't make mistakes with my knee, and I just wanted to get on the podium, so I accomplished that.
Well, you accomplished it. Congratulations, taking home in 3rd.
But 3rd is not the place to be when there is a championship on the line. Teammate Doug Henry finishes back on top.
You know, I want to thank Reno for having us. I thought this was the coolest race I've done in my whole life. Just racing through the streets like this was, you know, just an awesome event. And, you know, I want to thank the whole town and all the neighbors for putting up with us for the day. And hopefully we'll come back again next year. Oh, okay, sure.
The track was fine. I don't know. I don't know if I didn't feel. Definitely did not have the race mind. You know. Shit.
Third place is good, considering he was injured, you know. And so yeah, so. I mean, that's. Yeah, I think we're both happy. So.
Yeah.
Jeff is still in the lead with 93 points, but Kunzel closes the gap to only 9 points behind. The win only puts Doug up to a distant fourth with 66 points, and Fillmore is in sixth with 59. The team makes an unscheduled but necessary pit stop, and Bruce, the deep-sea diver, is put to work. Another shitty job. The team faces new challenges every step of the way, but perhaps this one was never anticipated: Hurricane Ivan.
Well, we're sitting here waiting to see what we're doing. We came to Virginia to race the fourth round of the championships, but it got postponed this weekend, and now we're kind of waiting on the AMA's decision on whether or not we should be driving back to California or leaving the bus and the trailer here to race the following weekend. But in the meanwhile, there's a bit of a hurricane a couple of thousand miles from here, and I think we're getting the outskirts of it now. Maybe the wind's starting to pick up. Got some big storm clouds coming. So you never know. Well, this is what we've got in the path of the way that we need to go home. So it looks like
don't lie.
We might be stuck here now.
Round 5. And from Reno to South Boston, bad goes to worse as Ward injures himself again. This time, he fractures a bone in his braking foot.
He doesn't look like it's affecting him. He's not limping around the pits. He's just being a tough guy. Doesn't seem to affect him at all. Now, can a KTM finally beat the dominant Hondas? Jürgen Kunzel, factory KTM, is in second in the points. Do you think he smells blood when it comes to Ward?
The 450 four-stroke power plant's lighted up with Doug Henry, rider number 19 out of Connecticut. He's our leader.
Check out the whole shot move by Kunzel. From the outside, drops in behind the number 19 of Henry. This is exactly where he wants to be. On the gas, CRF 450 Honda to the max. Doug Henry has got Supermoto wired. He shook out the bugs last year, made the switch from the Yamaha. Now he's on the Honda. Progressive shot down the straightaway, 100 miles an hour. Look at Kunzel sneaking up on the inside, checking out different lines. And Ward gets by.
It cost him, and I kind of alluded to it earlier. When he takes that line, it kind of opens the door. If he's able to make that line work, it's one thing, but when you have a bobble and Jeff Ward's behind you, expect that position to be lost.
You cannot make a mistake. We talked about it earlier. Burkhardt currently in third.
Mark Burkhardt on the Team Ultimate Edge Racing Yamaha, looking good in third spot. One more time down that back straightaway, Jerry Bernardo, foot out, checker flag. Doug Henry takes his third win of the year, the AMA Supermoto class.
Ward just can't seem to catch a break. Doug Henry, however, finally seems to be getting the brakes going his way. That, as they say, is racing. A crowd favorite, he's a tenacious competitor and survivor, a great family man, and probably the nicest guy you'll ever meet.
I got to meet Doug when I was racing for Honda and Yamaha, and Doug was always a real quiet, like just hardworking, nice guy. And I remember him traveling and working out of a van, and just he worked hard, always had a positive attitude. And even today, you know, he's still the same exact person. And he'd be a nice guy to be stuck with, you know, flying here or there and traveling with. It'd be nice to be a teammate with Doug Henry.
I've been riding motorcycles since I was 4 years old. I mean, when I was 10, I can remember going to one of the outdoor nationals, watching Doug Henry, and just my hero. And the coolest part was, even when I was 10 and nobody, and you know, no one knew me from Adam, you know, Doug took the time out of his way to go out, and yeah, it didn't matter if I was Joe Blow or going to be the next Doug Henry. You know, I was just, to him, I was a fan, and he was always super cool to me.
Bikes were always a part of his life, so you know, it was really easy to
be his partner, knowing that I was competing with motorcycles. But his development is amazing. Like, I guess that's when I noticed him growing into a man and maturing. I was just so amazed at his determination and how hard he worked. He worked so hard at anything he wanted to accomplish.
I mean, riding-wise, I mean, he's just super smooth. He never looks like he's going that fast, but I mean, the lap times always show he's pretty much the fastest guy out there. I mean, him and Morty are always, a tenth of a second off each other, so.
Doug Henry became one of the dominant racers of the sport. And then, in 1995, he broke his back, racing at Budds Creek. Doctors said he would never race again.
I mean, who can forget the time that the throttle got stuck and he jumped, 10 stories in the air and landed and compressed his back and came back from that, not just came back like to have a normal life, but to motocross again. So all around tough guy, bar none.
Broken bones before. That kind of goes with the territory. And, it's always like, oh, well, how long till you're done healing, It's like, oh, 6 to 8 weeks, and you kind of live with that. But when he broke his back, it was huge. I mean, basically, I already decided that, he was the one for me. But now all of a sudden, his career came into question, and he was just like at the highlight of his career, just really got to the top of his game. And now everything was in jeopardy.
But he and his wife found different doctors who were willing to gird his spine with steel braces to stabilize the spinal column enough to someday race again. In the Bahamas for recovery only a year later, Henry was back on a bike, doctor's orders notwithstanding, but back brace in place. After returning to the sport, unbelievably, Doug crashed again at his least favorite track, Budds Creek, this time breaking both wrists. After facing another lengthy rehabilitation, he came back to the sport at the very highest level. As a racer who incidentally grew up idolizing Jeff Ward, Henry helped develop the four-stroke engine with Yamaha for the Outdoor Motocross Series, despite the going wisdom that it would never work. And Doug Henry won with it. After numerous spirit-crushing catastrophic injuries and racing on a previously unproven four-stroke machine, thought to be far inferior on acceleration and lightweight, Doug Henry's competitive fire could not be extinguished, and he rose like a phoenix from the ashes to win his fourth AMA motocross title in 1998. With a growing family and after years on the road, at the end of the 1999 outdoor season, Doug Henry hung up his wheels.
I've noticed, and what attracted me to him is his determination. Anything he's wanted to achieve in his life, he's just always worked harder and fought harder and come back from amazing consequences to just overcome any obstacles and do great.
That just shows a sign of a true champion, what Doug is. I mean, he came back from virtually, a career-ending injury for anybody, and rose to the top, and came back and won a championship, and came back to the track that broke his back and broke both wrists, and then came back again and won. That's why he's winning races right now.
I have a supercross track at my house, and I just knocked down half of it, and just packed it down, and it was something to ride on. Like on days where couldn't find a place to ride or anybody to ride with, I'd just go out back and try and get some dirt practice in.
He even borrowed his dad's leaf blower to blow the leaves off it these past few weeks, so he doesn't want to slide on any leaves.
Now, as a Troy Lee Designs Team Supermoto racer, Henry seems finally headed back to the top, a position his competitive nature enjoyed.
He's so competitive. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I'm a very competitive person. My wife will tell you the same thing.
And although he's had career-threatening injuries and returned to the very highest peak of the sport, perhaps it's his wife and family that have mellowed Doug Henry the most.
How am I doing? Good. Good?
she helped me a lot because I think I used to be like too overboard, you know, and opposites attract. She's like the type of person who will let people win just to make them happy. So that was perfect for us. I'd win all the time and I was happy and she'd be happy because she made me happy. But, you know, for me, I was just too darn competitive a lot of the times. And you know, being around her, it saw that there's more to life than just being like always having to win and focus on winning, you know, trying to enjoy things a little bit more.
What do you guys drink at?
Moto Brew, the beer for Supermoto racers and their wives.
Henry remains, like his role model Jeff Ward, a dedicated competitor. After all, he's come back so strong from his injuries, and now he is racing with his fellow competitor and teammate Jeff Ward.
Once the race starts and everything gets pushed aside, but just coming to the races and just seeing him walk around, you know, it's just kind of a neat feeling, you know. It's just kind of, I feel like I'm one of him now.
I could do it all day long, sliding around like that. Yeah. You know, with my leg out.
Yeah.
With my knee out.
No, I just kind of, I keep it nice and smooth until I know I've made the ape, but then I just roll it on and it comes out. It seems like you get it turned a little better.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was behind you, either way, I didn't gain at all.
Yeah.
It was like the same. It seemed like you were a little better on that last left with your knee down. Everywhere else looked about the same. It was like that last left, when you came off your knee, you were a little bit more back. The other way, you were like, you were giving more throttle, I think, but you were sliding out.
Yeah.
And then when you got straight, you were kind of like a bike length or two to the right. And then that next corner wasn't as good for you there.
However, Henry is also racing against Wardy for an individual championship, for which they are now neck and neck, tooth and nail, going down to the wire.
Even though we're teammates, and you know, I've had a lot of teammates, and you know, you want to beat them. That's just plain and simple. So otherwise, you wouldn't be racing.
Point totals after South Boston see Jeff Ward still in first place with 114 points. Moving up into the third position on points is Doug Henry with 91 points. And in fifth place is Chris Fillmore with 71 points. Round 6. Sunny California. It should be a lovely day at the races. Just when it seems it can't get any worse for Jeff Ward, he faces injury again. This time, dislocating his already injured knee just before the race. But he has to race because of his burning desire to win. Barely able to walk, the question on everybody's mind, how could Jeff Ward race an AMA National?
We're trying to find the best overall rider in the world. Make that the best overall racer in the world, and Doug Henry gets a whole shot. Kunzel in second. He shuts down Jeff Ward right there. Wardy trying to stick a nose in on the inside. Rider number 3.
Now Kunzel is looking for his first win in the 450 class or the Supermoto class, and this is exactly where he wants to be. Tucked in. Actually, he'd like to be out front, but tucked in behind Doug Henry on the first lap is a good place to be.
Jürgen Kunzel's best finish on the year, a second at Reno. He is still looking for that first win. Doug Henry, on the other hand, he has wins at our first stop. He has wins at Reno, South Boston, and he's looking for one here in Del Mar.
Henry opts to go to the inside of that hairpin. Kunzel goes, oh, look, right there. Kunzel goes down the low side. Something must have been on the track. Maybe got in a little hot on the gas. Kunzel goes down. There's some water that has seeped in through the cracks. We had a lot of rain here in Del Mar, so this is a very slippery track. It doesn't look like it's wet, but see those paint stripes? Slippery. The water, the little seepage that's coming in, slippery. The dirt section is greasy clay.
Catching up as Doug Henry takes his 4th win on the year after this straightaway, albeit a 90-mile-an-hour straightaway. Henry, Wardy, popping wheelies across the finish line, showing you the horsepower of those Troy Lee Designs Honda. He looks over and says, great race. Yeah, it's always a great race when you win, right?
And it's always a big smile on the face of Doug Henry when he wins, because he is the happiest man in Supermoto today. Jeff Ward taking second.
Doug Henry takes first again. But after a superhuman effort to overcome injury, Jeff Ward finishes an amazing second place.
That was awesome, man. Got good points. Kunzel crashed.
I know, I saw the front.
We didn't really know what was going to happen. It looked like at one point he wasn't going to race, and then that was pretty tough. You know, I think for him, I could see it. I mean, he knew that. I mean, if he would have not raced, then he would have give up the championship lead. And so, you know, before the race, we were kind of talking about maybe, you know, what do we need to do just to get maybe 10 points. So we were kind of thinking, well, you know, if we can scrape through in 11th or something like that, then, you know, that'd be all right. He rode. I mean, he was in a lot of pain, and he just, I mean, you know, he might have finished second that race, but I mean, you know, he could have won it, I think. I mean, if his leg was good, he could have won it. I mean, he kept Doug pretty much honest the whole race, and you know, that was cool. I mean, it was second, but it kind of felt like a win.
Here we have Damo, not just a top mechanic, but a guerrilla marketing genius as well.
We're gonna hop up here and put ourselves a trolley design sticker on this motherfucker. I wonder if I can get on top of the hot dog though. I can get on the top of the burger.
In recent months, Troy Lee Design sales have skyrocketed, thanks in no small part to Damo's marketing efforts on behalf of the pork-consuming demographic. As they say, the road rolls on forever, at least to Las Vegas, with the championship still up for grabs and Europe's premier racers coming over for the final. Everyone focuses on what they have to do to win and what they can do to prepare.
Doug's pretty much proved to be the number one guy out there for us to beat. And that's kind of a difficult thing in itself, because, I mean, you know, we want Doug to win too, because, you know, we love Doug. You know, I mean, Doug's on the team.
Wardy gets a little bit of bad luck, it's gonna benefit us a lot. We can definitely, winning the championship's definitely doable.
The championship would be wonderful, but he's had a phenomenal season. He's won a lot of races. And again, you know, I'm his wife. I'm gonna love him whether he wins the championship or not. I know he still has that desire to win, and he's still very determined, so he's really psyched up for this race.
There's more and more pressure on Doug because he knows that he's the one that has to perform, because the bike will perform and it's just up to him.
I'm nervous as hell. You know, I kind of want it to be over. I just want to, I mean, I know what we've got to do. I mean, I know Jeff's more than capable of doing it. I mean, my worst nightmare would be to have a mechanical failure and that cost Jeff winning the championship, me winning the championship, Troy Lee winning the championship. I know that if he wins this thing, you know, you'll see me jumping 10 feet in the air when he crosses the line. So.
As they have all season, Jeff Ward and Doug Henry will race in Vegas as teammates, but they also pose the greatest threat to each other as they contend for the individual championship.
We have, you know, Jeff Ward and Doug Henry in first and second here right now. I got to make sure both those guys don't take each other out, because they're very competitive here, and we don't need to blow the whole thing down, you know, down the toilet here, because so we might have a little team meeting. I'm gonna let them do their thing all the way up the whole weekend until they go out for the main event, and maybe have a little team meeting and just at least a strategy on what they're gonna do out there.
After round number 6, the point totals stand. Jeff Ward leading with 136 points. Doug Henry is in second place now with 116. And in third, Jürgen Kunzel with 108 points. And rounding out the top 5 are Mark Burkhart and Kurt Nicole. Round 7. Like all good stories, we finish at the start. Las Vegas. Here we are again. The AMA Red Bull 2004 Championship is about to begin.
See the riders, the 450 class, and we're underway. Ward gets squeezed off just a little bit. It's the KTM of Jürgen Kunzel leading Jeff Ward. David Bompelou back in third.
Look at Doug Henry on the inside. You saw him in the black shirt, the number 19, about fourth on the right side of the screen, right there. Gingerly stepping his way through the pack, getting up into the mix. Right here, we're on that blue group. They kind of pick their way through, get up on the berm, go over the big jump. That's Doug Henry's style. Back onto the asphalt, he's still so fast.
Inside, Bompelou takes the outside. You see the multiple lines, a great track here. There's Wardy working on Kunzel, and we want to remind you, double points here for the top 5 finishers. A lot of ground to be made up in Las Vegas, but Jeff Ward is not giving Jürgen Kunzel any credit right now. He says, I'm faster than you. You might be in front of me now, but I'm not going to let you win this thing. Dialing in that slippery section, without a doubt. I mean, we've talked about his like PBs, like marbles on the asphalt.
There's Doug Henry, the number 19 from Torrington, Connecticut. One of the happiest guys in the motorcycle industry. But he's going to be even happier if he can get by the number 23, the orange bike in front of him, of David Barfloof, and move further into the podium situation. Jeff Ward, the current points leader, who probably will lock down the championship.
Half a second separates the two. Look at Wardy. He's taking different lines. That's a skilled veteran. He has all the knowledge. Look at that. It happened right there. That is crazy. Going for the front tire. Now does Kunzel have anything for him? He's going to be on the outside.
I told you Jeff Ward was ultra competitive and he would not sit back there. He was probably thinking the whole time, where am I going to get him? And he picked the dirt.
Those multiple lines in the dirt, I don't know if there are places like that on the asphalt. When you see 2 different black lines on the dirt, it means multiple lines. Let's take a look at this one more time. Kunzel's in good position for now.
Kunzel to the inside, the little bump. He drifts wide, spins a little, and there goes the classic block pass. Jeff Ward tailing the Honda up, letting his back end right in front of Kunzel, shuts the door, jumps over, takes the position. And hit him when he got up on the berm. He got right by him, blocked him, took the line away, and he's out in front, and he's ready to win this race. Wardy with a little look over his shoulder, seeing if Kunzel's even close.
In 6 races this year, Jeff Ward is finishing the top 3 in all 6. He has 2 wins, going for win number 3, the 3X.
And the checkered flag
comes out. Jeff Ward, hand off the handlebars. It's been since 1990 since he has won an AMA championship. That was back in the 500 class, which they don't even have anymore in motocross. And there's some props from Jürgen Kunzel.
But the number 1 guy who's going to have to trade in that 3X for a number 1 is Jeff Ward, the overall champion, coming off injury, broken bones in the foot. Never stopped Jeff Ward on the Troy Lee Designs Honda.
fucking awesome cross. Love you, man.
Congratulations to the whole Troy Lee Designs on the team. Jeff Ward with the #1 plate on there.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what an awful car.
Team's done an awesome job. Jeff Moore, Doug Henry, they're such a pleasure to work with, and just glad to be part of it. I'm so glad to be part of Jeff Moore's team.